PR Connections Radio presents.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Evelyn's Roundtable. This podcast highlights a host of relevant topics. Our conversations share voices of women of color, Black women veterans and veterans, allies, candidates, and elected officials, entrepreneurs, teachers, students, and others. We also explore important issues and challenges such as grassroots leadership, job training, homelessness, and mental health advocacy, accountability, male inclusion, and civics. Our mission statement is to empower all women. You hear me? All women to hold hands as we rise. Well, hello, ladies, and thank you again. Thank you. Thank both of you for being on here. This is such an honor for me, for both of you to be on here. And I just want to jump in here, y'all. And so, Ray, could you please just tell us a little bit about yourself? Just a little intro.
Sure. I'm Ray Kennedy. I'm an attorney. I work at Legal Aid Center. I represent kids in court. I just came off of a campaign to run for Las Vegas Municipal Court Judge, and I am a huge fan of the city of Las Vegas. I adore this city, and I love living here and all the people in our community.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, wait. You forgot one part about you running in, not the running part, but about you passing the bar and all. I mean, that's a big thing.
Yes. No, it took, and it's funny because I just had a conversation today about looks like the Supreme Court is going to do away with the bar exam as we know it. There will still be a test, but it will be nowhere near as arduous as it has been. And I'm all for it. I'm not one of those people that say, well, I had to take the bar test, so you got to take the hard test. Because the truth is that it was a bar. It was intended to keep certain people out of the profession. So it has vestiges of racism and sexism. And it really has very little to do with how you actually perform as a lawyer. So I did eventually pass the bar. And there is no shame in me saying how many times I had to try to do that. I'm persistent, and when I want something, I eventually get it done. So thank you for mentioning that, Evelyn. I appreciate it.
Yes, because I remember that. And in Assembly, we were Claire Thomas, another one of my favorite women. Could you please just give us a little intro about you?
Well, thank you, Evelyn. I am honored to be here this evening with Ray and you. This is really, I'm getting that lovely feeling inside. So I am Claire Thomas. I'm Assemblywoman for District 17, representing beautiful North Las Vegas. And I was a candidate for the State Senate, District 1. I lost my race, but I'm still in the community. I'm still working hard because our community is underserved. We have a number of Title I schools here, and there is much need here. I've been in the Valley for about 42 years. I am a retired United States Air Force veteran, and I also hold down a master's in public administration. So education is my foundation, and I'm always promoting education to all of our citizens, especially our Black, Brown, and Indigenous community of kids, because those kiddos are our next leaders and we need them educated. So that's a little bit about me. Oh, I forgot. If you hear any noise in the background, I live in a loud house. My 4 grandkids are here, and I am a grandma. I know I don't look like it, but I am a grandma. I'm okay.
She said, if you hear noise. And can you please tell a little bit about the event that you had this past weekend that you didn't say anything about?
Yes, I can. It was actually awesome to see the kiddos come in. It was a back to school splash bash And we say it that way because we're in partnership with the Skyview YMCA. And this was our third annual, along with a couple of our civic leaders, Ward 4, Councilman Churchio, and then we had Commissioner William McCurdy II, and Congressman Horsford also was there, and this little old name woman named Evelyn Pacheco, she was there also. So yeah, we had a wonderful event. It was, just to see the amount of need in our space here, and I was so proud of everyone coming in, especially. You should have seen the faces of the kiddos once they got their backpack, and especially the ones going into pre-K and kindergarten. And I hope they keep that energy up, for the whole entire school year, because we have sponges and they're ready to learn, and we need to keep them going. So thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was so cute because you had so many tables that had so much stuff, right? So you have the little kiddos that are going in kindergarten. They were all like this and dragging everything behind them and backpack hanging over here. The mom was trying to keep up with them, so I go over there and help them zip up the backpack and organize them. That's my, military, right? So I go in there and get them right and get the little strings off the floor and get them, okay. Then the mom would be like, "Thank you." I'm like, "No problem. No problem."
Yeah.
I totally get it. So let's jump in there about women challenges. And I also want to do women challenges about getting in the trades, because I've had this conversation with both of you. And Ray, me and you done really went around with this one too, because we know it's not happening.
Right.
Can you please give me your take on this right here?
Yeah, so I think that we have women, in particular women of color, are underrepresented in our trades, I think for a couple of reasons. One is that I don't think they are aware that there are paths to the trades that they can take. As part of the campaign, I know Assemblywoman Claire knows this, we would go around and the different unions would show us their training facilities and tell us about how people can get involved in their trades. And what I didn't realize is that when someone applies for an apprenticeship, first, there are limited spots. Okay. So I would have to know about that this is available. And then when I apply, there's limited spots to get in. And I understand the reasons behind that, but there's limited spots. And then third, our Clark County School District is not graduating our kids at a level where they can test into that apprenticeship right away. So they end up needing to do a pre-apprenticeship. What do you know, right? And so I think it's an issue of not knowing that that's a path, a viable path. I think it's an issue of not being prepared to take on the responsibilities of the apprenticeship. I think that there are still, again, vestiges of racism and sexism in certain industries where they think it should be male dominated, or it should be a certain type of male should work there. And then I think that we have to support our students or our kids, our young adults, when they make a decision to go into those trades. Because while you might get paid some money during your pre-apprenticeship or your apprenticeship, it's usually not enough for them to it's not really a livable wage, right? It's sort of like a stipend as they are going through the program. And so I think we need to support them more. When I talk with the unions about how they're going to increase the diversity amongst, they say, oh, well, we had an event at this high school. We had an event at that high school. I never hear, though, the high schools that are in areas that are concentrated with students of color. That's what I don't hear. And that's disappointing, because I think there is an assumption, on top of the fact that, CCSD isn't doing great. I think there is an assumption that our students of color are not going to fare as well in the trades. And I would 100% disagree with that. So I think there's a variety of ways that we could do better. Things that you and I talked about, Evelyn, was you have been trying for years to get judges to make referrals to the pre-apprenticeship program, right? Because at some point that is a skill that they will be able to earn a livable wage. I see no legitimate reason why judges are not doing that more. It's one thing if they're not aware of it. It's a whole different thing when you come to them and you say, hey, we have some spots, we can help train these women, and they still don't make the referral. Again, I think what happens is judges are very insular. They have a handful of providers that they like to work with. They're not open to hearing from other providers. And if those providers that they work with don't, cut it, don't help everybody, oh, well, there's a lack of empathy and understanding about, and seriously a misunderstanding, in particular when we talk about the criminal legal system, about what is the number one way to reduce recidivism. It is gainful employment, period, hands down, period. Mm-hmm. So if you are on the bench, and I'll speak sort of from that perspective, if you are on the bench and you are placing people on probation and you are not actively ensuring that job training and placement is one of the things that they are going to get, you are wasting your time, you're wasting the probation's time, you're wasting that individual's time, because they're not going to get any of the skills that they need if you don't make an investment in that and have pathways for that. So there's a variety of reasons. And again, when I was on the campaign trail, I was absolutely committed to making those referrals. There are more than enough people who come through who would benefit from the kind of program that you're running, Evelyn.
Yes, and I'm going to come back to you, but Claire, because and I'm going to kind of double dip with you a little bit, because Claire supported my bill, AB 305, that would have changed so many women of color's lives in this state, not just Southern Nevada, but the whole state. So Claire, I know there's like two things, right? How you feel about the challenges, but also can you please hit on the AB 305?
Okay, thank you. Let's take some issues that Ray brought up first. The reason why the trades are not as genuine as they should be. And I'll have to go back to my military career. I spent nearly 20 years in the United States Air Force. And there were certain jobs that, we were told, oh, women can't do this. Women can't do that. Well, you've heard that women couldn't be in combat, but women, was in combat, but they didn't get combat pay. And these are the stereotype that I would say United States has always been what women have told us what women are supposed to do. And women are supposed to have babies, stay in the kitchen barefoot,
and be quiet.
And I'm noticing that there are certain things that if you're an outspoken woman, you are held back because that's just not the way it's supposed to be done. And I'm not saying that men do this. Women do this to women because we have a preconceived notion of how we should act, and that's not conducive to a democratic society. So
you hit it on the head. You hit it on the head, Claire. And I would make the argument that I think men do it and for different reasons than women do it. Yeah. So knowing we've got 3 outspoken women here on this panel, my experience has been that men do it because it's like, you're supposed to be, I don't want to hear from you. And women do it, in my experience, It is they wish they could do it. They wish they had the courage to do it. And then when you do it, it makes something inside them is irked because it's like, how can she just do that with ease? So I think there's different reasons why it happens, but it's no different. Internalized sexism exists just like internalized racism exists.
Exactly.
So I'm sorry, Ms. Claire, but you just brought up an excellent point. And I just want to piggyback on that.
Well, that's fine. And I think this is what Evelyn wanted us to do today. So I'm happy with the piggyback, you know, and I'll go into AB 305, which I thought was, it was sort of like the gateway to having more women in the trades, because right now there's a stifle, and just like, you know, we just discussed, having women in the trades, for some reason, sometimes it impedes on a lot of, I would say, the established men and women that, you know, why do you want to be in the trades? As if that's the only field that you shouldn't be in. And I'll say this loud and clear: when I joined the military, I was in maintenance. They told me that I was going to be a linguist, and they put me in a mechanical field. And once I got into that field, all I heard was, women can't do this, women cannot, you know, we don't have the strength to do this, we don't have the strength to do that. So, so being in the plumbing shop, you know, I saw a few women that were just as good as the men. Yes, men are stronger. That's just the way they're built. But that doesn't take women, the replacement of women being in a mechanical field. And I say all of that to say, I've seen pole jocks. I've seen, you know, that was a term that when you see men that climb up on all of these poles and everything like that, that's what they called them back in the day, pole jocks. I've seen women in the plumber shops. I've seen electrical shop. I've seen just about everything. The military has created an environment because they've learned a long time ago that they cannot discriminate, in which they did, but they had to learn that women are just as productive if you teach them. And that's the whole thing, teaching women. So back to AB 305, I thought that that was a gateway to get women into, by making it sort of mandatory that the trades would have women, a bar, so to speak, to have, I'm getting lost with the wording that I want to use, but to have a number of women in the trade so that there is a seat at the table, so to speak.
Yes.
And this is not happening here. You know, when we presented the bill, all I heard was that you're making it stressful, especially for the private industry, that now we have a mandate that we have to have 10 women on site. If we don't, we're not in compliance. And I think that, you know, they got lost in all of this, is that you have never been in compliance with the way it should be. So now that bill was saying, we're making it mandatory for you to make it so that you have enough women in the field to say that it is an open workforce, where right now it really isn't. And I tell you one thing, and I'm going to put this out here. This is, and I say this is because even when I ended up being an air traffic controller for 16 years of my military career, I was told when I became an air traffic controller, women can't survive in this field because you don't understand the 3D effect. I have never understood what the 3D effect was, but this is what was told to me. And then the other thing was, oh, you can't withstand stress. This is a very stressful job. So I was like, so that once a month thing that I go through, is that not stressful? Being demanded that I show up for work every single day, because if I don't show up for work every single day that I have duty, I'm in the brig, I'm in jail, and all of that plays in there. And then if we take on a husband and children, all of that is stressful. So I think the women have met that stressful thing that men sometimes, when they feel threatened that a woman can do their job and do it well, they come up with all kind of crazy things. And one thing that I have to say here that kind of blew me away, I had a secretary/treasurer of one of the trades say to me to my face that the reason why women cannot be in the trades, because he's went around and spoke to all of these women, and women said they don't want to be in the trades because they don't have a separate brick and mortar bathroom at these sites that they have to be in, because the what do you call it, the potty,
Potty?
yes, are not sufficient for them, because once a month when they have their menstruation, they don't like. And I'm like, I couldn't believe that he actually said that, number one, in a room full of men and me being the only female in there, that he actually said that to my face.
And and it's really getting me that he felt so comfortable that he could say it to a Black woman and it's supposed to be okay because you know what I mean? That right there is something else.
Well, look, he added the whole, I talk to women. That was his go ahead. It's not really coming from me, it's coming from them. Well,
exactly.
That's ridiculous. We go to festivals and concerts all the time and deal with nasty porta potties or nasty bathrooms.
Exactly.
We have figured out.
And
right. They get threatened. They know we can do the job. And when you have women in a workplace, it changes the dynamic of that workplace.
Exactly. And that's what they don't want to.
That's exactly what
they like, because that was one thing too that, me when I was an air traffic controller and even in the maintenance field, they would use saucy language. I say saucy language and everything. And I found myself, actually to exert myself, I had to, basically get on their level. That once, those 4-letter words, and it wasn't, it's something that I'm not proud of. But yeah, I could cuss just as good as the rest of them. And then when I did cuss, they would like, oh, and that would get their attention, because that was some way for me to get their attention that, basically I'm not playing with you.
Well, I have a potty mouth and I'm not ashamed of it for one bit. I am not ashamed one bit. Okay. One of those 4-letter words is one of my favorite words in the world to use. But you bring up another good point, Claire, which is it's one thing to say, oh, look, we have one woman in this area, one electrician or one female plumber or one. And what I think we all know as women of color is that one doesn't get the job done. Right. Because I'm sick of being the one in the room who has to bring up. It is a heavy load to have to continuously bring up that there are other perspectives that need to be considered, that the experiences of folks in our community is important to listen to. You have to sort of hit a saturation point in a workplace before I think you can actually get some things done. It also could have just been me. I am a very straightforward, outspoken person.
Oh, you can't be that.
Correct.
You know, this is a political landmine that you are jumping into when you are, you know, when you are assertive. You know,
because we're not assertive, Claire. We're aggressive.
Well, exactly, because that's what it is.
When you're a woman of color, you're aggressive, and they act as though my words. And I've asked these questions multiple times. Well, am I being disrespectful? Am I being insubordinate?
Am I cussing?
No. Right. Am I cursing? I know I know how to code switch very well, right? Exactly. Am I doing any of these things? No, but it is simply my assertiveness that makes them feel uncomfortable, which is why they can never really tell me what it is that is the problem. And so, but I don't know any other way to be, and I wouldn't want to be any other way.
So you're unapologetic,
I am.
How I am. That's how I am.
I want to throw something out here now. So since Ray started it, I'm gonna keep going with this. So why is it that because again, us three women are very strong women, but why is it that we always feel like we're sitting on that mountaintop and you see these other women over here that are strong women, instead of them coming over here with you? I'm not saying I need to be the leader and everything all the time. Why do you feel, Ray, that they do the attack mode or the thing to us instead of saying, hey, let's all jump on this together and let's do this? Because there's been incidents I know with both of you, and that's why I brought this up.
I think it's fear. I really do. I think it's fear. I think there are a lot of women who, by just their nature, is not as assertive. But we get a lot of messages sent to us as women and as women of color that we've talked about. You're not really supposed to speak up. Or if you do, there is a very specific way that you're supposed to do it. And some women have internalized that more than others. I can't tell you how many times I've left a meeting after having to speak up, and then women come to you and say, "Oh, I'm so glad you said that." And I say to them, why didn't you support me in the room? I don't need you to tell me what I said was great after the meeting. Because what you did is you then made it seem like I was out there by myself. I'm all alone. Nobody else feels this way. Yep. Well, that's just Ray again, No. So I think that what we have to do, for me personally, I have to give those women grace, because I think if they had the courage to speak up, they would. They don't have the courage. So what I do when I get that is I try to empower them to use their voice too. And I say, next time, because I'm always going to speak up, but you could join me, even if you just started by nodding your head while I'm speaking. Even if
that would be really, really nice if they would do that. But I've found out, through my little travels for the past 4 years, that it's more than that. It's like, if you're in the clique, you can raise these assertions. You can have an opinion. But if you're not in the clique, and for whatever reason there's a clique, and it should not be a specific clique. It should be, especially when you say women of color, I think that, gloves are off right now. Black women.
Yes.
I've heard just in the past, 2 weeks since, Vice President Harris has taken over the leadership in running the ticket. All of a sudden now we're all Black. As Donald Trump said, I didn't know she was Black, because now she's Black. Well, I've been Black all my life. Whew. And I've known what it feels like to go into an environment where I get stared at, and not because of the content of my mind, but because the color of my skin. So
when being judged by other Black women too.
Right. And when I'm trying to empower Black women to feel that it's okay to be in that space, you don't need to be in a clique. You need to be able to stand for yourself, because like I said, my life experiences have shown that going into an air traffic control field, I'm telling you, they expected you to be tall, blonde, blue-eyed, male. And to see this little colored girl come in and control traffic 3D style, they didn't like that. You know, they didn't. And that's why when I'm trying to talk to our young women, you know, there's nothing on this earth right now that you need to be ashamed of. And when you don't have leaders that are sticking by you, that's okay. You pull up whoever is behind you. You show the leaders right now here in the state of Nevada, Las Vegas, that you do not have to be that girl where, you know, you're ashamed of who you are. I want them to understand you are just as good as the next person who is white, Asian, Hispanic. You are just as good.
I agree. And why I got both of you still on here and we're talking about Black women. And you know that I asked both of you to be on the panelists here in a couple of weeks, right? The Black women in civic engagement. And this is why I asked both of you to be on here, because you come from different perspectives, and not just different perspectives, but both of you on different journeys, you know, even though we're connecting and everything else, but all of us on different journeys. So how are you going to feel about being on this panel? That's one thing I want to ask you, Ray. How are you going to feel, and what because I know you're kind of thinking about it a little bit because it's coming up. So what are you thinking about?
Well, I'm excited to be on the panel, and what I have always believed, and I'll thank my parents for this, is that I belong wherever I'm at. So, so I have just as much right as anybody else to be here and to speak my truth and to give my opinion. So I don't, you know, even when you called me about it, Evelyn, right? And there was some whatever going on about it.
Yeah.
For me, I have no problem explaining to anybody why I make each and every decision that I make. You will never hear me say, well, Ray, why'd you do that? You know, I don't know. I don't know. No, that doesn't happen. So, and I have no problem, as Miss Claire was just saying, stand up, stand for yourself. It's okay to say, it's okay. Okay, well, maybe you don't like this program or you didn't like that person. What does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with me? Because if we're going to click up as humans. We don't need to click up in these little actions.
When you said that, I want to stress before I forget it, that because I don't agree with your policy does not make me disagreeable.
That's right.
And that's the whole thing that, you know, with this, that, you know, Black girl magic, that you must, you know, toe the line. You must, everything that I say, you must, you know, be in step with me. No, that is not it. And when I say stand up, you know, speak up, speak out, I want them to feel empowered that if they disagree with something that you've said or your policy, it's okay to say I disagree.
Yes.
It is okay.
Yes. And that doesn't mean that I don't have to be in the clique. That doesn't mean that I can't talk to you. I can't say hi to you. That doesn't mean that we can't work together. That doesn't mean that I'm stupid or I'm less than or whatever. That has nothing to do with that has nothing to do with anything. And this is why I wanted both of you on here, is because both of you get it. You get it. Why are we doing this to each other? Then you'll go over there and say, oh, Evelyn, you shouldn't have this or you shouldn't do this. And then that just pumps me up even more. Because when you're telling me I can't do something and I shouldn't, or I shouldn't have this person, or I shouldn't be talking, man.
Well, it feels extra hurtful when a group that you identify with, that you feel is inherently part of who you are,
Black women,
right? When they criticize or when they say you can't do this or you shouldn't do that. Again, I try to give them grace because internalized racism is a real thing, and you cannot forget how many messages we get on a daily basis that we're not enough.
Yes.
Right. And so if for whatever reasons that message, that they sort of vomit that message back to me, number one, I know it has nothing to do with me, and everything to do with their fear. So when I was taking Emerge, I took Emerge while I was running, and we had a great person, Miss Claire, I think you might know her, Christina Harbinger, came and talked to us.
Yes.
And everybody takes something a little different away from Christina. But what I took from her was, when you come up against your people and they say you can't, okay, don't assume that it's coming from a place of hate or jealousy, because sometimes, and even I would dare to say a lot of times, it's coming from a place of love and safety. Because especially our older Black folks, because they remember a time when if somebody who looked like you did that, there were severe consequences.
Exactly.
So there's a mix coming from them. It's a mix of fear for you. It's a mix of history, right? It's not always coming from a place of they don't believe in you. Sometimes it's coming from a place of trying to protect you, but it doesn't. You just don't hear it that way. You just don't hear it that way. And I'll give you one example. So we were in the middle of the campaign, and we went to the Independent Black Voters had a party. They were endorsing a couple of candidates, and I was walking around talking to people, and I talked to Mr. McCurdy Senior. Okay, this was my first time meeting him really in a space like that to have a conversation with him. And
we're gonna do names. Okay, no,
I don't listen. The conversation was had, but I also got a gem from it, so I'm going to give him his flowers on that.
Okay.
And I said, I'm running, and I said, I'm running against Rebecca Wolfson, and he was familiar because he was working with Shelley, and they both had the same campaign manager. And he said, boy, you're going to have a tough race there. And initially I thought, that's not what I wanted to hear. What I want to hear is, go get him. It's going to be uphill. It's going to be tough, but you can do it, right? And after the race, after the election, I saw him again. Saw him at a NAN meeting. And he said to me, I didn't say that to discourage you. I just wanted to protect you from what might come. I didn't hear that in that moment. What I heard was, gosh, how on earth, I need my people to say, go ahead, go do it, right? I could be the first Black woman to sit on this, the first Black person to sit on this bench. Mm-hmm. I could do so many good things, but it wasn't coming from a place of malice. It was coming from a place of wisdom, and it was coming from a place of protection. Yeah. So it is also how we process the information that comes to us.
Well, I could say that is sound advice coming from a place of love. But, with that said, I had a different experience. I had an experience where I was basically told that I wouldn't raise any money. And you need to raise money in order to have a successful campaign. Right. But those that were in the realm of helping you and giving money to you were told that if they did support me, their bills would not be heard. So that was the hurtful part of it. But to know that my community knowing that, because, there's nothing that is done in this community that people don't know about.
True.
And then to hear where one of my fellow Black legislators were going around lying, and I'll call a spade, that I was against a bill that would help a community of people, and that's Windsor Park, and that I didn't sign the bill, that I was against the bill, was a bold-faced lie. And I had the proof, because I said, all you have to do is check the record. I have receipts saying that everyone in the caucus voted for Windsor Park, because we understood that these people had no other recourse but to get assistance. And why would, someone say that? Because they were mad, and they say it's not personal. It was personal. It was personal, especially when you allow another group of women to tell a Black woman that you're not good enough to run for this Senate seat, when they know for the past 4 years I've been working my butt off in this community to make it thrive in this community. But I was told as a Black woman, well, it's not a Black seat. But when you had the seat, it was a Black seat.
So are you referring to the Senate seat you're talking
Senate
about?
Seat.
Okay,
Yes, I am.
I want to be clear about what seat you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the state Senate.
So the Senate seat is not a Black seat. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, and let me be clear, Miss Claire. I'm not advocating extending grace to liars. Let's just be real clear, right? When your intention is clear,
out there, because they lied on me.
Yeah.
Because I was against the way they were acting about the place where I live. The place, and every time you've heard me speak, I always refer to North Las Vegas as beautiful North Las Vegas, because this is where I live. I don't live in as some people would say, a shithole. I live in beautiful North Las Vegas, and I want the people that live in North Las Vegas to realize that where we live is beautiful. Sure. And they will respect where they live. Yeah. They will have pride in where they live, where they work, where they play, where their kids go to school. Yes, I think that it's necessary for us to be very proud of each other. We have the first Black female mayor in the whole state of Nevada. And I have leaders that just give her the side eye every time and every chance they get. Shame on you. Because I have my other, people are coming up to me, white folk are coming up to me saying, what's wrong with North Las Vegas? Meaning, what's wrong with you people that you can't get behind this Black woman? And because I do that, because I am proud of the fact that I support this Black woman. Now, do I agree with everything that comes out of North Las Vegas? No.
Yeah, true.
But I support her and her efforts.
Me too.
Just like I support the first Black judge, female judge in North Las Vegas. So why would I not support people that look like me? Because this is the 21st century. We need to support each other.
Period.
Yeah, well, you bring up a good point, Claire, because this is one of the conversations that me and Camilla Bywaters had about where is our community? Why isn't our community showing up for us? Right?
Yes.
And I just personally, I always try to start with myself. And so I'm not perfect. I know that I haven't been in the community for decades. Hell, I only lived here 1 decade. And because I was taking and not passing the bar, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to run. So I go out in the community and you sort of say, well, I'm hoping to run. And, but it's hard when you don't know for sure that you're going to be able to do that. So I said to myself, look, I haven't been out here for a long time. I can't expect just instant support. On the other hand, though, there have been pockets and communities where they know I have been out there, right, in other ways. And it felt a little disappointing that the support didn't come, especially when they support you in your face, right? If somebody tells me one more time, oh, girl, I got you. Oh, absolutely, whatever you need. And then you reach out for $50 or $100, and I get it. Everybody's got their own,
or to knock on a door, or
to knock on a right. Give me your time, then, right?
Yes. Hey.
That's disappointing. And then take it even one step further. People whose campaigns you supported,
exactly.
I supported, doors I knocked on for them, money I raised for them. You say, oh, you can't give me.
Well, no.
Give me what I gave you. You can't pass it back for me.
And see, I have a friend that always says that's why we don't have nice things.
Right. And so I'm going to be very, very transparent and vulnerable here. When I did not win the election, there was a moment where I thought, okay, you know what? They'll see. Wait till they go before her. Wait till they walk up in that courtroom doors. Then I had to remember, I can't blame the victim, because there has been a systematic campaign to convince our community that our vote does not matter, that everybody, every politician, every person who runs is corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a very successful campaign. So I take that and I say, okay, what do I need to do differently? Because I'm going to run again.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. Good for you.
My goal hasn't changed. I'm going to run again. I'm still very specifically committed to municipal court, and there won't be a seat up for a few years. But I know that I got some work to do. Obviously, I didn't hit every pocket of the city. Obviously, I didn't talk to everybody I needed to talk to. Obviously, I didn't ignite enough in people, and so I need to do better. But our community also needs to do better. What I have been disheartened by over the past 2 weeks is not even this conversation of, oh, now she's Black, because that's just sort of absurd on its face, right? You don't go to a HBCU and you don't pledge for a Black sorority if you don't think you're Black. And let's remember when you're 18,
you don't get turned down from jobs if you don't think you're Black.
Okay. The conversation that has been extremely disappointing to me is she's not Black enough.
Yes. And then, or you get the ones, I just heard, what's her name? Cori Bush. She did not win her, re-election seat. Why? Mm-hmm. So when you tell me that, Black Girl Magic, we're going to make sure, that the VP gets in because, this will be, I want you to have that same vigor, that same desire that you're giving the VP now for up and down the ticket. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then when you see a Black person running, you've checked out their, because I look at me, I've been in the legislature for 2 terms. My record. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to tell me I'm not good enough to be your state senator? Why?
Or even come in the community and speak. So now I'm supposed to sit over here. But ladies, we are almost running out of time. So I want to give you each like 30 seconds to anything else you want to say, anything, but you only got like 30 seconds to touch on it. So, all right, Ray, I'm gonna start with you. You got anything that you want to say in 30 seconds?
Well, first of all, this conversation flew by, right? But I think these are some of the tough conversations I think we need to have amongst us and within our community. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be on the podcast. I've been excited about this since you first mentioned it. But for me, I'm going to say I'm going to continue to give grace to folks, and I'm going to continue to try to inform people so that they're aware. Once you know better, you have a responsibility to do better. And that's my takeaway is I'm not giving up on my community. I'll continue to provide information. I'll continue to be out here trying to make things better. And hopefully at some point, I will be put in a position where I can make some systemic changes.
You will, because you ain't stopped, don't stop, can't stop.
That's right.
Hey, isn't that Young Guns?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You said that. You did say that. Did you say that? Yeah, you did. You did say that the other day.
That's
so,
right.
Miss Assemblywoman Claire Thomas, Air Force, one of my mentors, can you please just give us a 30 seconds on your platform, what you're going to do, and hopefully you're going to run again?
I will, and I thank you. This was really great getting a lot of things in the ether, and hopefully it's not a bitter statement. I was just trying to inform people that we actually need to come together. If we do not come together, everything that you think that you have built, it will be on, as the word says, sinking sand. We want to make sure that we have a good foundation for the next generation, because I believe that we can pull up that next generation, because that's the reason why I'm on this earth. That's the reason why I have this thing that that's innate for me to do, is that next generation, pull them up. Because if we don't do that now, what's going to happen to us? We will go back. And as the VP says, the next president of the United States, we're not going back. And that's what my message is to our young women and our young men. And that's the other thing too. We got some good Black young men willing to do the work. And we got people that are putting the thumb down on them, disrespecting them totally, because they don't want them in a place where they have an opportunity to make change.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have Black men that need to run, that we can support, let's push them up instead of pushing them back.
I totally agree with both of you. And this ain't gonna be the last time both of you are gonna come on here, because this is gonna be some. I love this right here. I love being real. I love the conversations that we're having, and I think it's important to talk about Black women challenges. I do. I think it's the time, it's the place, and I had to get into a space, though, ladies, to where I wasn't like whispering in it. I felt like I had to be like, kind of like, ooh, wait a minute. I don't want to just talk about just Black women. Then I was like, wait a minute. We're going to have to talk about it. Right?
We should talk about it, and more often. And I'm glad that you've given us this platform to do. And thank you, Ray. Sister, I'm calling you sister because I feel that in my heart. You are my sister. Yeah. And, not only, I'm Emerge also, but just, we're in this fight together. Evelyn, all along that, I consider you my sister. So, yeah, speak up, speak out. Let's do it.
Heck yeah. I almost said hell yeah, but I'm going to say hell yeah. Hell yeah. Black women unite. Let's do this thing, y'all. So I want to give my mission statement, and the mission statement for this podcast is to empower all women and for us to hold hands as we rise together and not separate. And thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.